A quick scroll through my channel, and I think you will come to find that I like an old movie. I don't know what it is about old movies that attracts me to them, but my love for old movies often gets me accused of not liking anything that's come out in the past 5 or 10 years. But that's dumb. There are plenty of movies that have come out recently that I have enjoyed, and to prove that I have enjoyed them, I'm going to spend the next 10 minutes hating on a film that came out 2 years ago. Parthenope is bad. Not the Room type bad, it's mediocre bad. The worst type of bad. It looks pretty and it's well acted, but when you look at the way the film constructs its message, it falls apart. The film follows Parthenope, a beautiful woman, as she traipses through Italy and attracts all the men that she meets along the way. Wow, Eunice, you might be thinking, your character description is so shallow. She's just beautiful? What about her personality? Well, if you wanted more depth from this character, so did I. The film struggles to give Parthenope depth beyond her beauty, as all anyone seems to emphasize about her is her beauty. Yet the film really wants us to think that it's just the men around her that reduce her to a sex object. It's the men that don't see the depth in her, not the film itself. But after watching this film, I feel like I was punked. Do I even want to take you through the whole movie scene by scene, break it down for you? Do you want that from me? You know what? I'm just going to give you a surface level summary of the plot. As surface level as Parthenope herself. The first half of the film is defined by Parthenope's relationship to her brother. Her relationship to her brother, in short, is incestuous.
Lasciate andare.
He wants her and she wants him back. When he talks about getting with a woman, she gets
E io
jealous.
in qualche modo faccio, mi voglio fidanzare con Alba Nardella, lei va sempre a capo.
E chi è?
Come chi è? Parte? Alba Nardella, la scosciata di Portofino, una divinità.
And when he kills himself, it's because his sister lost his virginity to his friend and presumably not him. Gary Oldman is in there too, in the mix, to give some poetic quotes to Parthenope. But honestly, who cares?
How many people have slept here? What have lovers said to each other here in this bed? They always say the same things. Luckily, there are writers who vary the monotony of their words.
The second half of the film is defined by the absence of her brother. Parthenope loses her spark and she embarks on a journey to find herself. Most scenes that follow are Parthenope wordlessly listening to different people give her philosophical quips about love, life, youth, beauty, and Naples. And when they talk about her, their observations usually surround her beauty, but also her clever one-liners.
Parte, ma se io avessi 40 anni meno, tu mi sposeresti?
La domanda giusta è un'altra, comandante.
Qua,
Se io avessi 40 anni di più, lei mi sposerebbe?
ci provi una furbacchiona.
Her ability to generate these one-liners is clearly used as an attempt to give her a personality. She's sly and quick-witted, but here's the problem. Everyone seems to speak like Parthenope does. Everybody seems to have the most clever comeback ready to be quoted in the trailer or on a Pinterest board. Not to besmirch the name of Pinterest.
Professore, posso andare un attimo in bagno?
All'università si viene già pisciati e cacati. Si sieda.
We could attribute this quick-witted dialogue to the film's clear homage to classic older films. Film noir or screwball comedies are built on one-liners and quippy characters. But the difference is that they don't draw attention to these one-liners like Parthenope does. The clever lines are more in the background as a stylistic choice. So that one part of Parthenope's character, something that could have made her unique, is now nullified when everyone seems to have the same ability. The film tells us that she is witty, but fails to show us that substantially. Therefore, Parthenope's personality remains a mystery to us. And I think partly this was done on purpose. The men around her are constantly wondering what she's thinking about.
A cosa stai pensando?
A cosa stai pensando? A cosa sta pensando?
Like the audience, and each man gives their take on her, and she neither confirms nor denies their validity. At the end of the film, it seems she finally answers this question.
L'amore per provare a sopravvivere. L'amore per provare a sopravvivere. È stato un fallimento.
But then undercuts her answer.
Forse non è così.
So it seems the audience, like the men, are supposed to form their own opinion on Parthenope. Perhaps this choice, her lack of personality, is because Parthenope is supposed to represent Naples. This metaphorical connection to the land is cemented right from the beginning, when the commander names Parthenope.
Parthenope! Chiamiamola Parthenope!
He gestures to the landscape, and the camera lingers there instead of cutting back to baby Parthenope, implying a connection between her and the land. Maternity follows Parthenope everywhere she goes. Shots linger on mothers breastfeeding their children or taking care of them. The priest at the end of the film tells her that she has been running away from motherhood her whole life. Yet we see that she does have maternal love, not towards any children of her own, but towards the people of her country. Here's the problem. I think this central metaphor, Parthenope as Naples, is precisely what undermines the film. Yes, her personality allows her to take on a more metaphorical meaning and be a mirror to her people and us, but I'm sorry, that isn't a good enough metaphor to base your entire main character around. I disagree with the choice. It forces Parthenope to the sidelines of her own story. There are plenty of films where the main character does feel secondary to the larger-than-life characters around them. Films like La Dolce Vita, 2046, or Sunset Boulevard are a few that come to mind. Parthenope's structure also reminds me of old books like The Little Prince, where a little prince goes from planet to planet learning about life through flawed perspectives. Yet, in all of these examples, the characters are still characters, with flaws, wants, and needs. They move the story as much as they passively observe. Parthenope is not afforded the same attention. The film cuts us off from her. She is quite literally reduced to an object in our eyes. She is only allowed to represent Naples. The camera also works to reduce her to an object as it lingers sensually on her body. Other shots place Parthenope directly in the male gaze with no form of subversion. The film seems to want to criticize this voyeuristic lens, but puts no effort into doing so. The film tells us that she's intelligent, yet the only person to validate her intelligence is a man. So, much like her beauty, her intelligence is validated through the male gaze. The film only shows us her intelligence one time.
I tre dati per Guliani.
1. L'individuo. 2. La situazione in cui si trova. 3. Il suo modo di fronteggiare la situazione data.
Invece Althusser?
Althusser è l'altra anima. In armonia con deterministi, strutturalisti e culturologi, ritiene il momento antropologico come ideologico. A me questo non interessa.
And then the rest of the film, she's supposed to be beautiful. At one point, we see her go on a research trip, a perfect opportunity for her to show some intellect or scholarship. But we don't see her interviewing people, taking notes, or anything like that. But we do see her getting fingered by the priest. The film would rather just tell us that she's intelligent rather than putting in the actual effort of showing it to us. In film, much like life, actions speak louder than words. So the film shows us that her clever comebacks are not unique to her, and doesn't show us why she is so talented at anthropology. So what is left other than her beauty? I get that anthropology is supposed to be about seeing, so the fact that she spends most of the movie wordlessly observing people shows her talent at anthropology, but again, that's just not good enough for me. To me, that line seems to be more about the purpose of movies and how they are anthropological in a way. The old professor guy only quotes one person in relation to anthropology, Billy Wilder, an old director from the 50s. Watching Parthenope feels like watching an echo of a classic film, rather than a love letter to it. It puts a shiny new coat of paint on old, outdated ideas that should have been left as a relic of the past. The character of Parthenope ends up getting as much development as the blonde actress in La Dolce Vita, and if you've seen that film, that's not a good thing. I have no problem with writing a love letter to old films. You just have to take a critical approach to them. You must understand why we moved on from those ideas, to see where they succeed, but more importantly, where they fail. The film ultimately ends up being like the character it's named after. Beautiful, but shallow. Zooey. Well, thank you for watching. I'm Dionisi. Welcome to my channel. If this is your first time, or welcome back if it isn't. I'm so happy you're here. Why'd that come off so flirty? Please like and subscribe. It really helps me out. And, I would love to hear your thoughts on this film. If you agree or disagree. I mean, I think personally the film has some really sexist ideology, but I saw some people arguing that the metaphor of Naples was actually effective for them. So, I think there is room for debate here, although I do think I am right and based, and actually you should just agree with me. So, really actually you shouldn't debate me. Yeah, so that was my review. Thank you so much for watching. See you on the next one.